but this is a good alternative. I don't think it smells exactly like it, but maybe that's also because I'm not lighting this on fire, and Palo Santo would you light on fire and then use that.
You're listening to Essential Oil Conversations, the podcast for busy women who love natural living, friendship, and a little bit of entrepreneurship too.
What are we talking about today, Heather?
We are talking about Guaiacwood. This one came out in 22, I believe, and people were very excited about this oil because I guess people had known it as Palo Santo. I had not heard of that before, so I was not as excited. However, it has been a fun oil to learn about, and it comes from an absolutely beautiful tree. The inside is blue when they cut it, and it's very pretty.
Yeah, it really is pretty, which actually, is the oil blue?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't for me. But the oil did have a slightly different texture. I'm curious if you feel that too.
I agree.
Other oils.
Yeah, it is. So Heather said this before hitting record, but it really does feel almost like lotion.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like regular essential oils. It is hydrating for the skin. It says it helps maintain the hydration barrier. And that's what it feels like. So that's interesting because I don't necessarily think about using this one on my skin, but I may include this in some of the serums that I've created with different oils if this acts as a hydration barrier too. Because, I'm aging and my skin does not stay as hydrated as it used to.
Yeah, I bet it would feel really good on the face. Just putting it on my hands and then my upper arms, I'm like, ooh, that's soft. Yeah, I like that.
Do you remember the first time that the Yarrow Palm serum came out and how luxurious it felt? Like that was ooh, this feels very good.
Yeah, it really did. And that one, for me anyways, almost felt too thick. So I would still use coconut oil as well to kind of cut it and help spread it more.
Interesting.
So, yeah. Well, I was one of the people that was excited about this. I had never heard of Guaiacwood before, but when they did explain that it's very similar to Palo Santo, and I love Palo Santo. That's like one of my favorite scents.
Oh.
I was really excited about this. And so they did explain that at least at this point, doTERRA has no plans of doing a Palo Santo oil because it's really hard to find it ethically sourced.
Correct.
Which then also made me wonder about the piece of Palo Santo wood that I have in my home that I occasionally burn. Like, oh, man. Like it does take away some of the specialness of the scent when you know that it's not ethically sourced. But this is a good alternative. I don't think it smells exactly like it, but maybe that's also because I'm not lighting this on fire, and Palo Santo would you light on fire and then use that. So maybe it's that, but it has a natural kind of smoky scent to it as well.
Oh, it actually smells smokier on my skin, I would say, than it does from the bottle. From the bottle, I have a little bit of, it's not quite vetiver, but I kind of feel a little bit of like a sweetness behind it that reminds me of vetiver, which to me feels smoky and sweet at the same time. But on my skin, it's almost a little more campfire-y, which is interesting. Yeah. That said, so if I was using this in a serum for skin hydration, I would probably want to combine it with some sort of either floral oil or something like that just to give a little bit more of a scent because I don't want to walk around smelling like a campfire.
Good point. Yeah, good point. Well, now I'm like, okay, layer rose on top of this.
And that is one of the oils. Yeah, that is one of the oils that it blends well with. But so we were talking about diffuser blends, and one of the combinations that I came across, which I think I'll be putting in my diffuser in a little while, it is called Sweet and Smoky, and it's 3 drops of Guaiacwood, 2 drops Madagascar vanilla, and 1 drop of lavender. And I feel like that would smell really good.
Yeah, that will be going in my diffuser today as well, because I agree. That sounds awesome. And this is a really calming oil too. So mixing that with lavender probably is also going to just create a really calming, relaxing atmosphere.
Which I think why it's used a lot in meditation practices too.
Yeah, definitely. From an emotional standpoint, it says here that takes you from feeling deficient to resourceful, which is interesting because I wouldn't think of that with the relaxation, except that I do think, like taking the adaptive pill, that reduces stress so that you can get more done. At least that's how I feel. And like reduces all of the mind clutter so you get more done. So I can see kind of how deficient to resourceful with something that's calming would have that same impact.
Is there anything else that this one can be used for? I only have my notes from convention that year because the reference books that I have don't mention it in there. So speaking of, with our reference book tool, the Matchmaker, obviously it kind of tells you which reference book is best for you. However, I guess it's important to mention too that some of them come on apps that you can then update, so you always have the current oils, because I don't have that, and so the books that I have, once new oils come out, I would need to buy a new book.
Yeah. I will say the only app I have liked that from a book is the Essential Emotion app, and for years it was free, which was awesome, and it would then update. It's no longer free, but it's an annual fee. I don't remember exactly what it is, but totally worth it. But yeah, the reference books are definitely helpful, and I do have a reference book that has this in it because I bought it at convention in 2022, so that's helpful. And this is one that has a lot of stuff that we actually can't say on here, but I'll just kind of hint at it. So really amazing for lung health. And so if you've got any type of lung stuff going on, even like a cough or lymphatic congestion in that area, this would be really good for that. It's amazing for skin and aging skin. So we kind of touched on that, but a lot of skin issues can be helped with this. And it's also good for like menstrual cramps and pain around that. So a lot of really, really good things can come from this. So if you're interested, get yourself a reference book. And like Heather said, we've got that linked. The reference book Matchmaker is linked in the show notes. So you can go there totally free. Just input your email and then that will get sent out to you.
And I'm guessing all of the things that you mentioned are for primarily topical use. This can only be used topical and aromatically, and it sounds like all of those would be for topical use.
They are all for topical use. Yeah.
All right. But again, I think would smell good in the diffuser with lavender and what was the other thing that I said?
Vanilla.
Vanilla. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So my dog's going to love it too. My daughter opened up the bottle of Madagascar vanilla because she loves seeing his reaction. So she opened it up the other day and just like called him. He came running and yeah, he really likes that one.
So cute. So cute. All right. Well, next week, do you know what we're talking about?
Next week, we are talking about HD Clear. And my kids actually use all of HD Clear products, and so I can definitely speak on that.
Amazing. Well, you definitely don't want to miss out. So if you're not already subscribed to the podcast, do that. That way you never miss an episode. And we have amazing episodes for you every week. So thanks so much for listening.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This podcast is not intended to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent any disease.